Hey, so what's going on everyone, and welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm going to be going over Game of Thrones Season 7 Episode 1. I enjoyed this episode so much. There wasn't that much kind of like battling in it, but there was a lot of like Easter eggs and stuff. It was just a longer episode so they could get over a load of things. So with that being said, just turn on post notifications and you can consider subscribing and just turning them on, because I'm going to be doing Game of Thrones. I'm going to be doing a load of videos on this. I can't wait to get into this season. But later on tonight I'm recording this at less than, I think it's like 8:30 AM, and I haven't slept yet. So it's been really long. So I'm just going to edit this video and go on to the next one or whatever. Probably not sleeping, but you know what, who cares. So I'm just going to say I'm going to have a trailer breakdown or like a promo for the next episode out later on tonight, which you can go and you can check that out as well. So going on to number 10, this is like a top 10 by the way. Going on to number 10, we have the reverse red wedding. So basically, if you started off the episode, if you've seen it, so spoilers just in case anyone hasn't seen it yet. So Walder Frey is basically had another banquet in a way, and he kind of poisons all the Freys in a way. So basically makes all of them drink like a new kind of type of wine, but then they all ended up drinking it, and then Walder Frey didn't drink it. Then it turns out that it's Arya, and she actually ends up like poisoning it. So that, and then she talks about all the Starks and how they killed all the Starks and everything, just basically mentioning what they've done and all the Starks and how they basically killed them all, and that they should have killed them all and how they failed to do it. So that was basically number 10. Nothing really too interesting. It was just the first part of the episode, which I really enjoyed myself. Now going on to number 9, Arya to kill the Queen. Now if you notice in this, there was an Ed Sheeran cameo around this time as well. I was really excited. I knew he was going to be in it, but I really did enjoy it. I thought it was going to be something else, but he was singing in a bit of it, so getting into it basically. So we find out that Arya is actually on her way to the south before she goes north, which I was not expecting. This is a real shock. So basically, she, instead of going to Winterfell, which you would actually think she's going, because in some like photos we've seen her going to Winterfell, going up north, but it turns out she's actually on her way to go kill the Queen. And do I think this is going to work? Most likely not. Just because the Queen has so much kind of like people around her, she's definitely going to have to kill someone to get close to the Queen. Obviously, maybe the Mountain, which I really doubt. Maybe the Maester, but I really don't know. But so it was like really surprising that she's on her way to basically kill Cersei. And so it's not really too, like, this makes me wonder when we're going to actually see her reunite with the Starks. I don't think it's going to be for another while, but it's just going to be really interesting. I hope she meets up with him. I hope she meets up with him in the middle of the season, which I can't wait for. So going on to number 8, we have the Night King in the Winter Storm. So basically there is a storm and around like the White Walkers. This is near the start of the episode, I think. I just watched the episode. Amazing. But basically there's like a storm, and it's basically hiding the movement of the White Walkers, which I thought was really confusing. At first I did not know what it was. I was so hyped for it. I really thought it was going to be something with Jon Snow or something. I did think it was a vehicle at first, but it turned out it wasn't a vehicle. So you can actually see the CGI throughout the characters' eyes. So instead of seeing the White Walkers' faces first, you actually get to see their eyes, so you can obviously tell they're White Walkers. But honestly, I thought it was just amazing. It was a great scene. I did really enjoyed it. But I'm just going to bring up another part in this. So we actually get to see Bran and Mira. They actually reach the wall, which this was really early in the episode. I didn't think it'd be kind of late, but basically they reached the wall and they explained themselves to the new Lord Commander. I don't know his name. That basically he was at Hardhome, I think it was. He was basically explaining all the past and how he knows about the White Walkers and everything, which I thought was so badass. I love when Bran does this. It makes me just feel really happy with the character, and just in general, you know. Personally, I do really enjoy this character. I do think he's quite just a good character in general. He's one of my favorites. So going on to number 7, we have Jon Snow in the Great Hall, or whatever you want to call it. So we get to see Jon Snow in Winterfell, and he's actually talking to a load of people, and he's basically explaining that they're going to need a load of people to actually help try and find Dragonglass. So they're actually having an argument about who's going to go to the wall, because that's where the White Walkers are heading right now. With Bran actually going into the wall, that's basically causing it so the wall can fall down and they can all pass, which I can't wait to see. That's going to be amazing. So basically they're having arguments about who's actually going to go up there. So Jon kind of decides that the wildlings are actually going to go up there, which I thought was kind of like reasonable, going to like think the edge of the wall, the east edge. I'm not entirely sure, but this is what we get to see later on in the season. That's actually a really big part of the season as well. I can't wait for that, if I'm being honest. And so basically Jon is more worried about the war in the north instead of and then Sansa's kind of way more, I guess, worried about the war in the south, which is basically Cersei. She's more worried about Cersei. So going on to number 6, we have Cersei surveying a map. So this is basically the map that we get to see throughout all of Game of Thrones. It's been hyped up quite a lot. So basically Cersei is just looking at a map, and she's basically explaining like what we need to attack first and when Daenerys is going to get there and everything like that. Then Jaime kind of decides that he wants to talk about his dead children, which I think is kind of weird, but basically he's bringing up that Tommen, his youngest son, actually ended up killing himself because of the whole things that his mother done. Then she was trying to blame it on Tommen. Cersei tried to blame it on Tommen, that what he done to her, but it was completely the other way around in my opinion. That was such a dick move. So going on to number 5. We have Euron Greyjoy actually showing up at, I think it's King's Landing, and basically he shows up and he says he's two good hands, and you can see the look on Jaime's face. Like, it was amazing. He gave a really dirty look, which I thought was kind of funny, but I just didn't really enjoy the character in general. So going on to number 4, we have Samwell in the citadel. So basically Samwell actually went to the citadel at the end of last season. We get to see him show up quite a bit. So basically he's making soup that actually looks like the kind of the dirty things, these dirty bowls, or what people kind of shit into, but he's basically having to like do that, and there's kind of a montage in the whole episode of doing that as well, which I kind of laughed at. I did think it was quite funny, but it's nothing really to go off of that. It was just him in the citadel. So as I said, he actually does go to like a kind of forbidden place for like books of knowledge and everything, and he basically gets this book, which I'm going to go over right now. Samwell is actually reading this book about a dagger. There's this dagger in the book anyway, and we basically see that Littlefinger has this dagger at the minute, and that Arya is going to get it later on in the season, which I can't wait for. It's going to be amazing. But that's basically going to happen, and then we actually get to see some dragon glass like the next page. So there's basically a mine under Dragonstone, where Daenerys is right now. So there's basically a mine, as I said, and that's where he's going to send a raven to Jon Snow, and that's why we're going to see Jon Snow kind of turning up at Dragonstone, which I can't wait, because just remember Daenerys is his aunt, or like aunt, so it's going to be really amazing. I can't wait for Bran to actually just come to Winterfell. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait for Bran. He's one of my favorite characters. So going on to number 5, we have the Brotherhood riding to the north. So at the cabin, I think it was in season 4 of Game of Thrones, you can see this cabin where basically the Hound and Arya are there with this daughter and this kind of like old man, not really old man but a father. So basically he was there, and he actually ended up, I think he was killing them, and then their like bones kind of rotted away or whatever, and you get to see it. Basically they killed themselves or whatever before they actually starve. So it was kind of like a flashback, and he ended up burying them, and there's this cool scene with the fire, which I thought was personally amazing. So there's this kind of cool scene which basically the Hound looks into the fire and he sees the wall, and he sees a load of White Walkers, and he sees that the wall is basically broken down, like it broke, and that the White Walkers are actually walking past, and that there's thousands of them, which is understandable as they're White Walkers. But I'm just going to get into number 1, because this video is going on to nearly 10 minutes, and I'm just going to take ages to edit and render, so I just have to do this. So going on to number 1, we have Daenerys returns to Westeros and going to Dragonstone. This was so amazing. I love this part. I love Daenerys just in general. Such a good character. So basically she touches the beach at the first. So she touches the beach and she's like trying to, I guess, get a feel, because she hasn't been there since she was born. But as I said, she's just kind of making a feel for like getting to know it in a way. And she basically makes her way up to the throne room and the map room, and this is where we get to like hear that one line just from Daenerys, "Shall we begin?" And this was so amazing. They ended the episode off there, but oh, I was so happy with it. I loved this episode. It was really good, and I can't wait for next week. Oh, I can't wait for it. But so that's been pretty much it for the video. So if you like these, you can just leave a like on the video. You can consider subscribing, turning on post notifications. I'm going to be doing another promo video tonight, maybe a Q&A sometime if I actually get questions, which you can leave in the comments or tweet at me. So that's been pretty much it for the video. I'll have a video out later tonight. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video, and peace.